You are listening to the Hodges Huddle, where we discuss all things in the wide world of sports. Here is your KLSU sports team.
Welcome into the Hodges Huddle. I'm your host, Andre Champagne, and today I'm joined by Jayden Smith and Michael Poggi. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's another day, you know.
Another day, another dollar.
Another day, another dollar. We got a little hurricane watch coming in, but, you know, feeling good. Feeling good.
It's not a magical Monday.
Nah, but I'm living. Like you said, hurricane on the way. Mom called me word asking if I was going to evacuate. I'm like, no, it'll pass.
Hey,
but
man,
also,
that's what moms do.
Rest in peace to the great James Earl Jones. Kind of just put a cloud over this whole day after that, but here we are.
Hey, we're still kicking though, man. Yeah. It's a busy school week for me personally. I'm sure for you guys too, but we always get it done. LSU football, though, they got in the win column this past weekend as they defeated Nicholls by a score of 44-21. The LSU defense struggled to counter the rush attack that Nicholls brought. And LSU offensively, though, they got the job done through the pass, but the run was non-existent. So let's talk about it. The LSU offense did a better job this week of being aggressive through the air. And Garrett Nussmeier, I thought, did a great job with the medium and short yardage. We also saw him leave the pocket sometimes as he took off, which was nice to see. So let's start with him. Why is Garrett Nussmeier so crucial to this team, especially in a game like last weekend where the rush attack was non-existent, but also Nussmeier went down and everybody was like, uh-oh, what now, right? So,
I mean, the starting quarterback is pretty important to the team.
Yeah, I mean
that's what it is. But deeper than that,
just with the rush
especially
game.
with the running game not looking great right now, we're really gonna have to be reliant on his arm talent and that receiving core in general. And God forbid, should he get hurt or anything, it hasn't been Ricky Collins or Colin Hurley that's been getting all the reps with those receivers and building that chemistry up. So that's just another thing that you wouldn't want to happen. But yeah, I just think because of the rushing attack not looking so great right now, we're really going to need everything Garrett has right now because we're not really getting any bailouts.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. He's the starting quarterback. Yeah. It's who we got. I will say Ricky Collins, he went into the game for a little bit. Yeah. And he did his job.
Yeah, but you could see LSU was scared.
100%.
Play calling and stuff.
But, man, he did his job. He gets thrown in that little situation. You don't really know what's going to happen. Of course you're scared. Your starting quarterback goes down.
Right.
But, G is a very important part of this team. Like you said, when him taking off at some points, it's really nice to see. But, I mean, look, he's leading the nation in passing yards and touchdowns right now. And that's something to talk about.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
I mean, look, we got him, and then we got Kyron Lacy, who's leading the league in receiving touchdowns. So you might you got two guys who are leading the nation in two really important things on the offensive side of the ball, and you got to get somebody. You got to get Kyron Lacy the ball somehow. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd say Garrett Nussmeier is pretty important.
Yeah, but also I think you saw on Saturday that this team just does not have confidence in the quarterback too. That's how important he is, because last year you kind of knew how important Jaden Daniels was, but you also trusted Nuss because he had a little bit of experience going into it. But this year, I mean, Ricky's good, don't get me wrong, but none of these guys are experienced.
Can you show me? Can you tell me what you saw? Because I really don't know. I don't see what you mean by
saw
the
LSU offensive coordinators were scared. They played like they were scared. They didn't let them attack. They ran the ball. They let them have that one throw before the half, which was nice. But you didn't see they allowed him to play like he wanted to play.
I guess. Yeah. Okay.
But also Garrett's also a guy that's going to go and make the right reads for you. Like a quarterback too is going to think he needs to make a throw that he doesn't need to make. Yeah. And Garrett's just been straight up good decision after good decision. He's very efficient. But what did Garrett do in that game that posed questions? And it could be good or bad, or just maybe that you thought of and you were like, okay, I don't know.
I wouldn't say posed a question because I don't really know what question I would form. But He did miss a couple of throws that I would have liked to see him have made. I think there was a deep shot to Kyron Lacey.
A few,
that
actually.
It was just out of reach for him. And that's supposed to be his bread and butter, the deep ball. So we really can't have him missing those types of throws. And there was a couple of throws that he missed towards the sideline. But all in all, he still finished 27 for 37 on the day, 300 yards, 6 tutties. And
solid.
There were a couple of instances, and I'm not mad because the play, it still ended up like working out, positive gains. But I just think he needs to do a little bit better job of scanning the entire field, because there were a couple plays where he was staring down the target the entire play. I mean, he wasn't really scanning and looking for second reads.
Jelani Watkins wide open on one play, and that was the only play Jelani pretty much played the entire night. He ran like a streak and absolutely burnt the safety, and I was like, dang, that would have been a cool touchdown.
No, I mean, there's no bad questions for me with Garrett.
I didn't say bad.
I know it's good or bad. I know I have no bad question toward him. I think the only questions that I've been able to form revolving Garrett Nussmeier is how far can he bring this team? How far is it possible for Garrett Nussmeier to bring this caliber of an offense? And, I saw, we started off slow against Nicholls. Started off slow. But you were able to see him get in his groove, scored 6 touchdowns. Like, no matter who you're playing, throwing 6 touchdowns is a pretty darn good thing to do.
Kind of crazy, too. It was
I would say that mainly the biggest question, like I said, how far can he bring us? But what's it willing to take? Like, what is it going to take for Garrett Nussmeier to be able to do what he wants and be able to kind of give him the ropes how they gave it to Jayden? You know what I mean? Like, let him... If they want to run that counter option, man, let him pull that ball. Let him pull that ball and go and get 10 yards, and that's what he did a couple times.
And slide,
and slide. And
that's he's going to slide. And Jayden didn't.
But Jayden didn't have to, because Jayden could go out there and make a guy miss and make a move. So he can't do that. Get down, slide, still positive yards, and I think that's the most important thing. Is doing all the small things. That's how this offense is going to be successful, is by doing the small things, less than the bigger plays.
The only question that I got posed was, is that deep ball something to be worried about just because it wasn't accurate last week? And a game like that, it's better to happen that game than next week against conference play. So the only question I would kind of have is, will we be seeing that this Saturday, the kind of struggle of accuracy as far as the deep ball, just the deep ball? Because I think you will need the deep ball, especially against South Carolina, because they're going to go and drop guys back like it's nothing, especially since LSU hasn't been able to run the ball. And the only thing that kind of took I loved how he got outside the pocket this weekend. And it, like I said, it showed that if he gets pressured, Michael kind of talked about it. They're going to have to respect it now. That where they're going to have to, they can't just drop everything back, right? They're going to have to either not put a spy on them, but they're going to have to put some pressure on them. So, but I guess as far as the run game, LSU only rushed for about 60 yards on 20 carries. What is the problem with the run game right now, and how does LSU? I mean, what have you seen from that, and just what's it going to take for LSU to fix that?
We're not getting good enough pushes, for one. We're not carving out really big lanes and holes for the running backs to fill, and we're not getting good gaps. And another thing, and I don't know if this has crossed a lot of people's mind, but I just think, the offensive line is super duper good, but there is a difference between pass blocking and run blocking. And perhaps their strength is simply just pass blocking. Pass blocking, you're keeping your man from getting to your quarterback.
Especially,
and running blocking, you're simply just asserting your dominance, asserting your will. Like, I'm going to win my matchup. And I just think those two things are different. And I think that's why the difference between the passing game and the run game has been just night and day so far. One has looked really good, and one has looked the total opposite.
No, I mean, I'm with you. I said this on Sunday. I don't get paid enough to know how to fix this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix.
And it's concerning
the run
because
game.
it's like, what it really is happening.
Yeah.
Like, this team cannot run with as good as a line they have. They just can't run.
Yeah. And like when you have that big of an O line and you can't run the ball,
Yeah.
I don't really know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think you hit it on the head. We haven't really been able to run that ball that well since I got here, and I'm a junior now, so I got here at the same time as Will Campbell and Emory Jones. And they've been starting since I got here. So maybe, and them two, they're going to be first rounders.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's their, have we just been not, you know what I mean? Are they really only good at pass blocking? Like,
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to have to focus on that when I watch the line next week.
Yeah.
But
And they're pretty, like, lean and fit guys for linemen. And
yeah.
usually, like, run blocking or linemen whose strength is run blocking, usually, I don't want to say, like, sloppy, but they're just bigger. Their bodies aren't as proportionate.
Right.
But Will and Emory, they're big guys, but they're not round. They're not
Yeah,
they're
they're
bright
not.
and toned.
Right. I would say, I think it's just LSU overcomplicating everything as far as play calling goes. LSU is doing all these run designs that they're trying to pull guards. And I've watched, it's been 2 weeks in a row now that I've watched LSU offensive linemen get put on their butts because they literally do not, it seems like they don't know what they're doing. And they're overcomplicating it. What happened to just putting a guy on a guy and saying, especially when your line's as good as it is, like Jayden said, and just making the push.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, it's frustrating because LSU, even when they had to run it last year, when they didn't do as much, they could still do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because they were pulling guards or doing outside things. It just put a guy on a guy and go to work.
Yeah, and it really sucks because I think this is the one part of the team that we weren't supposed to be worried about.
Yeah, exactly. You saw Michael was mad week 1 when Will Campbell was like, we're going to run it up every team's throat pretty much, and we just haven't seen that yet. And pretty much, if you do that in conference play, you're going to get beat because you're
100%.
You're one-dimensional.
You're not even going to.
If you're one-dimensional against any team, you're going to get beat pretty much. I mean, maybe not Nicholls because it's Nicholls, but that's my take on it. I think they have to just simple it down, dumb it down, because also it's not helping these running backs. These running backs aren't able to hit the hole as hard. They actually have to read the linebacker what he does. It's a lot. It's a lot that goes into it. It's really not just the offensive line, but when you're confusing everybody around, that definitely doesn't help. So with all the injuries that occurred this weekend, does that make you all a bit worried with the depth behind some of these positions, offensively or defensively? I mean, we saw Kyron Lacey go down for some time, and that certainly made me worried during that point. Obviously, Jacobian Guillory, we'll talk about him later. And just a few more people. I mean, it's definitely concerning week after week when you have guys going down.
Yeah, and I don't care if you're the starting receiver or the fifth string receiver. Like, injuries are never a good thing, and it's never something I'm happy to hear about, or it's never something I'm just not going to care about, especially when it comes to my team. Like, it's just, I mean, it's common sense. So, yeah, it definitely worries me. With the Kyron Lacey thing, it did scare me too because of how long he stayed on the ground. And I really hope it was just one of those freak plays where you land wrong and it hurts more than usual
it was
for
a
whatever
stinger.
reason. I hope it was, just that. As far as the Guillory injury, I mean, that's unfortunate.
We'll talk
It's just
about
devastating.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, look, the injuries is part of the game, and everybody knows that it's part of the game. Yeah, it concerns me. We've all, we're starting to lose guys that are kind of dropping like flies, and that is a problem. Especially going into this SEC schedule with the hard schedule that we have coming up. It's not going to get easier, and they're going to keep getting beat up. I think we'll be fine. My main concern is the Guillory thing with how weak our D tackles are. Yeah. That's the main concern. I think there's, Emory's out. Not a whole lot we can do about that. We do have. I still think we have a very talented running back room. We just simply can't run the ball for some reason.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on, but I don't really think it's a running back issue. And I don't know. I think we'll be fine. I don't really think the injuries are going to hurt us that much, but if they keep coming, they definitely will.
I'm just concerned because we know LSU isn't that deep at some of these positions, like the defensive line, like wide receiver, because, like you said, the numbers aren't there. Obviously, it's crazy because one of your deepest positions is at one of your worst positions at the cornerback level, and you kind of wish it was at. You wish it was at the
line or something.
The defensive line for sure, but. They just have to prioritize staying healthy and keeping their guys healthy. And I think something that bothered me specifically during this Nicholls game was like every single player was trying to hurdle. And I'm like, it's Nicholls. Like, right, we don't have to do this. We don't have to do this against Nicholls. Put your shoulder down.
Yeah, but
get out of bounds. I get where you're coming from.
I need my highlight. I'm playing Nicholls.
Sure, exactly. But be smart.
Yeah.
What do you want to win against Nicholls, or do you want to win against Bama and be healthy? So it's just kind of something to keep in mind. But it definitely made me scared because, like you said, the Kyron Lacy thing, and that was awesome. Like, no hiding it. But it looked like he, hopped on his tailbone, I think it was, and he was down for a long time. I thought he was done. Same thing with a few other players that got hurt. I think Mason Taylor even tried hurling a guy. I'm like, in what freaking world does a tight end need to be hurling a Nicholls defender? But who am I to judge, I guess? But who is a receiver besides Kyron Lacy that's been impressing you, I guess, just stepping up, I guess, in that wide receiver room? And who's one that needs to be used more? So kind of a two-parter.
Probably C.J. Daniels.
Yes.
He had 4 for 71. Yep. And there was a big play last Saturday, and I think he kind of got tripped. It was like one of the ankle bite things. He kind of just got tripped up, and I think he'd have scored had he not gotten tripped up there. But
near the red zone.
He looked good last Saturday, man. And I think that's easily our number 2 guy behind Kyron. I think you've got to get him going.
Yes.
And you've got to prioritize getting him the ball almost as much as you do to Kyron Lacy.
Man, shout out C.J. Daniels, man. He's such a dog. I respect that man so much. All he does is love to play football, and that's you have to respect that.
Yeah.
You have to love that. My thing is I want to see Xavier Thomas get that ball more, man. And don't get me wrong, I love C.J. Daniels. I think he's our wide receiver too. But that boy Xavier Thomas, man, he can ball. He can ball.
Yeah.
And I think he's one of those guys where he can. I genuinely think he can be Kyron Lacy last year. And getting him the ball in opportunities where you're 1 and 2 are covered, and having him go make a play. And Kyron made some great plays last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing big time plays for us last year. And I think if we allow Xavier to do that, it will definitely work for us.
Yeah, I'm going to say Aaron Anderson. I love how he's played, especially consistently throughout the USC game, and now he's taken that consistency into this week. And he showed flashes that he can be a guy kind of like Xavier Thomas, who he can actually make a 5-yard pass turn into a 50-yard pass. He's very shifty, he's very fast, and he can make things out of nothing. And somebody I think LSU needs to get more involved. I mean, he's getting involved right now. C.J. Daniels definitely is, but I think come SEC play, he's gonna have to stay poised and stay ready because the one receiver thing won't work when guys start bracketing Kyron Lacy.
Yeah.
So
I just think they just got to prioritize it. I mean, C.J. Daniels is the only guy on this roster who has ever had a 1,000-yard season. So
right.
You got to put some respect on his name.
And that comes with chemistry, right?
Yeah.
Like Garrett Nussmeier has so much chemistry with Kyron Lacy already. He just has to get more, I guess, accustomed to C.J. Daniels. And his tendencies. But let's shift towards that LSU defense. They gave up about 150 rushing yards, but it really seemed like more with blown assignments in the first and to start the second half. The defensive backs were quiet tonight. I mean, last weekend, but we'll talk about them. First off, what is the base of the problem that LSU is facing defensively, giving up all these chunk plays?
It seems just like a lack of focus at times.
Yeah.
I think we have good stretches where we're completely locked in on the task at
Like
hand.
a few plays at a time.
And you can tell when it happens because that's when we go 3 and out.
Yeah.
That's when we force long third down conversions. And then the next thing you know, it's an 8-yard run or it's a 15-yard pickup to the corner. So for whatever reason, this defense randomly loses concentration. And the same thing happened in the USC game. Everything's going right until it isn't. And I think those are things that you cannot have that.
Right.
You cannot have that because you're only going to play better teams from here on out in the toughest conference in the land. We can't be doing that.
Agree.
No, I mean it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I there's defensively, we get locked in at times, like you said. But my whole thing, it's been the D line. It's been that those front two guys, D tackles, since spring game. And I talked about this on the Sunday show. But Jayden and I, we were down on the field for a majority of the game for the spring game together. And I remember looking over at you and being like, Phew, barbecue chicken, just because that no, I'm serious. Like those like I remember seeing 2 or 3 big gains. One went all the way to the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah.
In the spring game, and then I saw that happen against us with Nicholls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like that's my biggest concern is because I genuinely think that our DBs have been so much better, like a million times
By
better.
far, yeah.
And I think where it's gonna get to us is because like SEC play, they can run the ball, and we're gonna get the ball run down our throat if we're not able to get a couple stops on 2nd and 5. That's my thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's just a defensive tackle issue. I think it's a collaboration thing, kind of like Jayden said. It's a focus thing. It's a communication thing. And you saw over the weekend the linebackers couldn't get on the same page of the defensive tackles too. So I mean it's a everybody thing.
Yeah,
and if you're not all on the same page, it just takes one guy. It takes one guy to screw up that screws an entire group up.
Yeah.
So I think it's much more complicated and I think it's more complex than just the defense, interior defensive lineman not getting pressure.
Yeah, man. They just not mean enough.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like
they're not.
You
tenacious,
gotta be nasty to play on that line.
You have to know, like, hey, I'm getting to this guy.
Yeah.
You're getting to this guy, and I don't have to worry about anything after that. Like, it has to be that simple. Also, the physicality just wasn't there this weekend. I mean, I guess the guys were kind of like, oh, Nicholls, there's like 30,000 fans left in the stands.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore, and it could be a little bit of that.
Right.
They're not focused.
Right.
But you need everybody to be together. A defense is a collective group.
Right.
And like, offense can be a flashy one-player thing. Like, that's always happened. But defense, one screw up leads to a big coverage bust. But
Correct.
let's talk about the defensive line losing Jacobian Guillory. What kind of loss is that in hindsight for LSU?
I mean, this is a tremendous loss.
Yeah.
I mean, we just spent I don't know how much time talking about the defensive line. Just saying how they're just
who stepped up and who
not
stepped
enough fire on that line, not enough tenacity, and then we lose probably our best guy on that unit of the defense. So I think this is a tremendous loss, especially in a group where it's already sort of depleted. You really don't know what you got. And it couldn't have come at a worse time. I mean, we couldn't even really get the ball rolling before we lost this guy, man. So this hurts because I really do think Jacobian Guillory could have been the one catalyst for this defense, like the one voice
to hold accountable.
I
mean, he's been there. And Michael, we'll get to you in a second. I just kind of wanted to,
you're good.
to go. He's the veteran guy.
Yeah.
He's been there 5 years now, and he's been through the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
So if anybody really wants to get better and hold them accountable to make sure that they weren't like they were last year, it's going to be Jacobian, and he's been like that all summer long. I can guarantee, like that's how he was at practice. That's how he's been in scrimmages. It's just it's so sad because he was your most physical guy by far on that defensive line, and your probably best run stopper as well. So it's a big loss, and I think guys like Dominic McKinley are going to have to step up. I think Sean Washington is going to have to.
Sean?
It's Sean. That's how you say it. It's Sean.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
I believe you.
And then, as well as there's one other guy, Taviar Suggs.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly bragged so much about him over the offseason. The guy that benches, squatch price 630, about 630. So you want a guy like that. But
Yeah, it sucks. Y'all just said exactly what I was gonna say. But he's your guy. He's your beast. But yeah, I wanted to talk about Sean. He's the guy that's gonna have to step up for you if you really want. And he has big shoes to fill. But I like him a lot. He's coming from
Georgia.
East Mississippi Community College is where he came from. He was signed to Georgia, didn't play there, went to EMCC. If you know what EMCC is, Last Chance U was on there. He wasn't on there, but he played for EMCC. He was the number 13 ranked JUCO player in the country.
Yep.
Signs here, dog, absolute dog, and he has that mentality of a dog, and that's what we need on that D line.
Yeah, that's what we're missing.
Exactly, and I really think that. Yes, it's a terrible time for this team. He's your leader. He's your guy who's been there. He wants to be here. He loves the purple and gold. But that's got to put some fire in somebody.
Yeah.
And I think this gives Sean Washington an amazing opportunity for him. And yeah, so I'd like to see how that goes.
I like it. Just moving forward to this weekend, should LSU be on upset alert?
Yes.
I definitely think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, man, not even just because we're playing
We're not winning.
South Carolina, but we're going on the road.
That atmosphere, college game day.
Bro, anytime you step into SEC play, there is a target on your back. You need to always be on upset alert. I don't care if you're playing Vanderbilt. It can happen to anybody. And especially with a team that looks as good as South Carolina has looked these past 2 weeks. And, man, with that front line that they got,
that defensive front,
Dylan Stewart?
Jeez, yep. Yeah, I don't think Will Campbell will be laughing in class watching tape this week for sure.
Well, he needs to be watching tape. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
if you watch all the tape you want, Will, this week.
According to one of my sources, in classes this week, Emory Jones and Will Campbell were laughing at tape. Of the Nicholls guys, of course. But
okay.
That's
I guess
it
happens.
It's like that. I already said we're on upset. I don't think we're going to win this football game.
Really?
Personally, I hope we win this football game. I want us to win this football game. I don't think we're going to win this football game. It's one of those games where it's just like. It's college game day.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them a reason to play for more. It really does.
And they. I'm not saying they look amazing, but they
looked good.
They shut down a Kentucky team after week 1. They looked horrible, and they looked horrible in week 1, and then week 2 they come out and they shut down a Kentucky team who also isn't that good, but they destroyed them.
Yeah,
they got confidence. They got a lot of energy. And, it's going to take a lot to go in there and shut it down.
Yeah.
I'd be a lot more scared if it was a night game.
Same.
But
I was about to talk about that.
I'm excited. I think I think it's going to be a very close game.
Spread's at 7.
Spread is at 7. I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. But yeah.
I think LSU should definitely be on upset alert because they're struggling to play complementary football.
Yeah.
And they're not helping each other out in the best way where the defense is getting stops in some areas, and then the offense goes 3 and out.
Yeah.
And then the offense scores a touchdown, defense is given a touchdown.
Yeah.
So it's just that's where my head's at right now. And then you look at South Carolina, and it's kind of the opposite. They're playing really good football after week 2. Now, week 1, they played really bad, but obviously there's a lot of new faces on that team. But destroying a team like that on the road, week 2 SEC caliber, that's not what I expected from South Carolina whatsoever. And just knowing that college game day is going to be there, Williams-Brice is going to be packed. They always show out. They're probably going to sell out, and it's going to be loud. And a lot of these new guys, it's going to get to them.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say LSU loses this game, but there's a very good chance, and there's a world where LSU does does not show up to play. But
Yeah, I'm with Michael, bro. I just think this has all the makings to go wrong for us. We have not looked good these past few weeks. Well, we've looked good.
week
in
1
spurts.
looked good.
I thought we looked good week 1.
Week 1.
I agree.
And then I thought second half we looked fine against
Same.
Nicholls. I thought we looked fine.
Yeah.
And I thought I don't think we're toast. Like I don't want this. I don't want it
That's
to
not
be
where this is coming from.
I don't want it to be a.
It's playing
season's over.
4 quarters of football at a consistent level, and we
Yeah.
have not seen that yet.
Yeah, we haven't
So,
seen it. So yeah.
What are the keys, though, to winning this one on the road for LSU? One on offense, one on defense. If y'all want me to start, I can go. But
Our offensive line is really going to have to hold up. The thing that's worrying me most about the South Carolina team is their defensive line. I mean, they have just been just running through offensive lines these past 2. I know it's only 2 weeks, but they've looked so dominant. And they didn't just, like, blitz all last week. They were getting to Kentucky rushing 4 all day. I mean, the Kentucky quarterbacks were combined 6 of 17 on the day for 2 interceptions. And that was all because of their front 7 pressure.
Yeah.
And I just think, again, our offensive line has looked a little bit iffy in the run game. I'm really hoping that doesn't translate to the passing game as well. But I think that's easily the best part of this South Carolina defense. And, yeah, that's what worries me the most.
Yeah, my keys to the game, if LSU wants to win this football game, you have to win the O-line battle and you have to win the D-line battle. You have to win both sides of the line in order to win this football game, because if you don't, it's going to be a mess, and there's going to be a lot of problems on both sides of the football.
yeah, offensively, I just have LSU has to be able to run the ball this week.
Yes, no, they do,
if they
yeah.
can run the ball efficiently, they'll win.
They'll win
And
the game.
It's
Yep.
as simple as that. And I'm talking, all you have to do is rush for 130, 150, to 150. It doesn't have to be that crazy.
Yeah.
I think managing the clock is also going to be a big part on offense, where LSU takes some time off the clock during drives, which will keep their defense off the field. I think keeping those guys refreshed on the sideline is a big deal. Defensively, I think LSU has to play as a unit better, just communicating better, especially in a very loud environment. That's going to be a really big test. And just take your job seriously and be physical this week. I do think last week was not the LSU defense that showed up against USC. I think that was night and day. And you're going to see LSU show up with intentions to want to go in, make some noise. So, but the NFL season did get kicked off this past week.
Yep.
We're all New Orleans Saints guys, and they looked phenomenal in their opener against, granted, the Carolina Panthers.
They look good.
But winning by a score of 47-10 against anybody in the NFL is just absurd.
Yeah.
So let's start with the offense. No matter how much people want to talk about it being the Carolina Panthers, Clint Kubiak did wonders with this unit in the offseason. Scoring, like I said, scoring 47 points at any level in the NFL is just impressive.
Yeah.
So how surprised were you when this version of the Saints showed up on Sunday, especially looking back and seeing how bad they were last year?
Very surprised. I was on the show with Michael, I think, 2 weeks ago? It was 2 weeks ago, and Raven was asking us,
apparently
how
y'all
we
were
felt.
not very optimistic, which I wouldn't have been either.
Yeah. So you could just imagine my surprise when I saw it get to like 30-0. I was like, okay, like we're for real. Because when I saw the touchdown pass to Rashid Shaheed,
Ooh.
I didn't get too excied because
Oh,
I was
I
like, we
did.
did that a lot last year,
did.
and
No,
then
that-
it looked totally different the next drive.
That dot
after
to the
that.
corner when Carr kind of ran
He was
outside the
throwing
pocket.
that thing,
Yeah.
man.
I was like, that was a dot.
Yeah.
I was like, I ain't never seen him do
Yeah.
this before.
No,
I mean,
he's-
I'm not gonna get my hopes up, but
Same.
it's a step in the right direction. And
sure.
most importantly, I'm just happy that they looked how they were supposed to look against a team of that caliber.
Yeah.
Correct.
They went in there, handled business. Let's get ready to go to Dallas.
They're tired of hearing it too.
Yeah.
I mean, you got
Oh, yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown saying this Saints ain't never going to win a Super Bowl, which granted, he's never been to a Super Bowl, so you can't even say anything, Amon-Ra.
You play for. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. You play. Never mind.
Anyways, no, I mean, like, look, it's kind of funny how, like, this Saints team, they haven't lost a season opener in 6 years. LSU hasn't won a season opener in 5 years.
That's true.
And so it's kind of funny how we're going back and forth with that.
Yeah.
But my thing is, like, look, man, I loved it. They looked good. It was nice to see an offense, and man, it made me smile. I was watching Derek Carr's post game, and he just like he had a relief on his face. He had to he gets into the interview and he goes, "Whew, that was fun." Like he just said, and then they asked him about the crowd, and he was like, "Man, it felt good, because
felt good not getting booed.
Yeah, I was at plenty games where I was booing my heart out at Derek Carr, and look, it feels good because I genuinely think that Derek wants to be here. He wants to be in this city. He wants to try and get this team to the playoffs, win a division title.
Yeah.
Obviously, Super Bowl is a goal, but if we win the NFC South, I'm the happiest man in the world, to be honest. So, I thought it was a great start. If we go 3-3 in our first 6 games, we're going to be totally fine. If we go 2-3 in these next 5 with the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys all coming up, I'm a happy man.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like Jade. I'm not going to get my hopes up all the way, but this Saints team really did look different, and they came out firing like on all cylinders.
Yeah.
The defense complemented the offense. They were flying around. I mean, you got Alontae Taylor getting 3 sacks. I mean, I don't give it.
I had to rewind the TV when they put that graphic on the board because I thought I was tweaking.
Yeah, and then the offense. I mean, just watching them last year, I'm telling you, I wanted to turn the TV off, seeing how awful and atrocious that team was just on offense. I knew. I was like, get ready for punter. Start
I'm pretty
warming
sure
the
I
leg
stopped
up.
watching after like week 14
I agree.
last year.
But if the Saints can play with the same balanced attack they did this week, they're going to be so dangerous because this defense is going to win you a lot of ball games. But I was going to ask you guys about Derek Carr's, I guess, performance, but talk about that Saints defense first and what stuck out to y'all most.
Really just the way that they were flying around the ball, the way that they were aggressive at the point of attack, really at the line, causing turnovers, hands on the football and things like that. So it really just made me happy, man. Like the way that the energy that they played with.
Yeah,
it's been a long time since I saw the Saints cause a turnover.
Bro, what was I gonna say?
And they always run to the end zone, hype the crowd up, go to the camera. Like it has been a long time since I saw them do that. So when I saw that,
and
like,
the fans were in it, like it was
The
so
dome
nice.
was rocking.
Yeah, it was so nice seeing the dome
I'm
decked out
Yeah.
finally, and I was like, oh man, this.
I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I bought an Alontae Taylor jersey yesterday, and that's because I was watching that and I was like, wow, he is the first Saints defensive back in franchise history to have 3 sacks in a game. He went berserk, and I loved that we were letting him go after the football.
Yeah.
And he's fast, he's quick, he's my favorite. Him and DeMario Davis are like my 2 favorite players in the NFL.
Yeah.
And watching Alontae Taylor be a ball hawk, not even just like when the ball's in the air. When that ball's on the ground, he was hawking it. And that was really nice to see.
Yeah, and I liked the quickness. Like it just seemed like even if Carolina was getting some yardage, like they were there right away. Like this Saints defense was just they felt like they were suffocating Carolina's just players and everything. Like Bryce Young was in hell yesterday. And that secondary, man, I'm telling you, this secondary is so good. And what Ogoa noticed about yesterday, I thought Chase Young played exceptionally well. I thought he got to Bryce Young a lot more than meets the eye. And I think if they can keep getting that pressure, that's going to be so huge because Carl Granderson is a great defensive end.
Yeah.
And he's gonna make sure he gets to the quarterback. And he's going to get a lot more sacks this year because of Chase Young putting in more dirty work. So moving forward, though, what's the most important thing for the Saints team that they have to do just carrying into future weeks, especially these first few, like Michael said, it's a very hard schedule. So what do they need to make sure that they do? I can go first. I think just stay healthy is one.
Yeah.
And keep the offensive line gelling. That offensive line was the biggest question coming into the season, and we all thought, we were like, oh, brother, Trevor Penning is a starting left tackle. We are doomed.
Dude, that rookie looks great.
He looked very, very good.
Yeah.
Sorry, not left tackle, right tackle. Trevor Penning looked very good this week.
Fuaga looked good, too.
And Fuaga did look good, too. And I think they have to be locked down for Carr, and they're crucial for that run game opening up. So
Yep.
Yeah, I think the key for me is also on the offensive side of the ball, but I think I would like to keep seeing the creativity within the play calling.
Yes.
And I think that was a big issue last year. Things were too simple, and that's why we really couldn't move the ball at times. But, yesterday you didn't see that. Derek Carr made completions to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different receivers. You know the last quarterback I saw do something like that?
Drew Brees. Patrick Mahomes, actually.
Patrick Mahomes. Chris Olave finished with 2 catches and 11 yards, and I'm not complaining one bit. Now, partially because we won 47-10, but even without him getting the ball, it didn't seem like, oh, where's Chris Olave? Because the offense was clicking.
Yeah,
so
By the way,
well.
they were triple
Teaming.
Chris Olave.
Yes, they were.
Understandably.
My biggest thing is, I said it already. Next week we go to Dallas.
I think that's a winnable game.
Winnable game. Then you're hosting the Eagles Sunday
I also
afternoon.
think that's a winnable game. The way that they looked.
We'll
the way
see.
that they looked against the
We'll
Packers.
see next week. We'll see. And then you go to Atlanta. Got to win that one. Then you got Monday Night Football in Kansas City. No one's expecting you to win that game.
Right.
Then you're hosting the Bucks. You got another one that you got to win.
That's easy money.
And then Sean Payton comes to town, and that's easy money. So look, my thing is you take care of the games that you are supposed to win, and you will be fine.
Now, what worries me about that is I find myself saying that same thing about the Saints every year.
Every year?
We just got to win the games we're supposed to win,
but
and
the
we can finish 12-5, and
The difference
it never
is
happens.
Clint Kubiak is now
Right.
completely controlling
like
this
that
offense.
offense looks so
you don't
much
have
different.
Pete Carmichael, prehistoric caveman offense. And like I said, you guys saw it, the creativeness.
Yeah.
You saw Juwan Johnson was in motion in plays.
Yeah. Rashid Shaheed in the backfield.
When you get guys so involved like that, it makes football fun again, especially for those guys that are like, oh, I got to go block again, boo-hoo. Like you saw Foster Moreau was like, this is a guy that I feel like only plays football because he has to. He has to pay the bills. Like, he looked like he was having so much fun yesterday. I have not seen that from Foster in so long. So just seeing everybody like happy was so cool.
Yeah.
But anything else?
Who that?
Don't get too good because I don't know, but I know they put out a graphic before the season.
Yeah, $44 tickets.
Yeah, I don't want to go up too much because I want to go to some games.
We're the lowest average ticket price in the NFL, $44.
Yeah, don't get too high before that Jayden Daniels reunion.
Right.
But that will do it here for us on today's episode. Thanks to Michael and Jayden for joining me. And I'm Andre Champagne, and this has been the Hodges Huddle.